Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Caylee Cowan about the film Frank and Penelope, which is going to be available very soon. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, you know what? One of my favorite things about storytelling these days is genre bending. That's one of my favorite things. And I feel like we get it with this film because I feel like so many kind of genres and so many things happening in this film. Did you notice that when you were reading the script for this?
Yes. I think that this film does an excellent job of genre bending. I don't think it's necessarily a horror movie. It also has a bit of a romance kind of feeling to it. It kind of plays in a lot of like a thriller. There's a lot of suspense. There's an action element to it. And it's a road movie, which is also a genre in itself.
No, absolutely. What was kind of the mindset signing on to a project where you get to work with a lot of amazing people and it's such a dynamic script? What are the early stages like when you sign on to work on Frank and Penelope?
Well, when I first read the Frank and Penelope script, I really loved it because I've always wanted to do something that was sort of like True Romance.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite movies. And I saw that there was a lot of similarities there. So I was excited that I got to do my own sort of version of that character.
Yep.
And I think, working with Sean was a great experience because he's a director that is also an actor. Mm. So working with him was a very special experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so crazy as well. What can you tell us about what can we expect from your character and like what can you tell us about the film without kind of giving too much away? Because the trailer, I feel like does a very good job of like not giving much away, but I've watched this film, to be honest with you, and I watched it like I went in fresh with like no expectations, and I feel like it was a little better, to be honest with you.
That's amazing. Yeah, I saw, I think that, they tried to fit it in a genre, which was the problem with the trailer, because when you watch the movie, you can see that it does genre bend. It's more than just
we established that in the beginning of the interview. This is a genre bending movie. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. And I think that it's definitely like there's a lot that you wouldn't expect to see from just the trailer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What can you tell us about your character and what we can expect a little bit?
So Penelope is a kind of character that feels like she's at the end of the road. She has found herself in a situation where she has to use her sexuality in order to navigate the world. And it's kind of having a negative effect on her and her, overall well-being. And then she falls in love. And we see this new side of her that starts to evolve throughout the film and how she relates to Frank. Yeah. And has to literally fend for her life with him.
Oh, absolutely. What is your favorite thing about being a storyteller? Is it kind of the fact that you get to dive into all these different worlds and kind of transform into different characters? Is that one of your favorite things about it, Caylee?
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite things. I think taking on a new character is like finding parts of yourself and tuning it up that resemble that character. Yeah. And then, kind of having a lot of empathy for the character, never judging yourself, never judging the character. And, I love to read books. And I think that when I was younger, I always wanted to live in those books. And this is like the closest I can get to that, I love when a project is based on a book.
100%. Big horror movie guy over here, like huge horror movie fan, like love them. You worked on a horror movie that's like one of my favorites that I watch. Like I'm going to be watching every Halloween around that time, all the time. Okay. And that's Willy's Wonderland. And I've had a chance to talk to Kai Kadlik about the film as well. I just love Willy's Wonderland so much. Is it really cool to see that it does have like a cult following after these years? Like people love that movie.
I loved making that movie. It was a lot of fun. Imagine going to work every day and people are in like full on furry costumes. Like it was like it was so fun to work on that film, and working with Nick Cage was amazing. He
Mhm.
is such a legend and he's so great to work with. And he's just so on his like A game. He's an incredible actor.
And I don't want to go into big spoilers about that because, again, I feel like you like working on films that are better off when you go in completely fresh, Caylee. I feel like that's like a thing that I'm realizing with Frank and Penelope and Willy's Wonderland. They they flesh it out pretty well in Willy's Wonderland, like what's going on, I find. Like, you watch the trailer, you're like, what the hell, animatronics coming to life and like a kid's restaurant, but like it's pretty fleshed out and explained, which is one of my favorite things about the movie.
Yeah, we all did a lot of background work actually on our characters. So I think just knowing that information about your character, even if you were like, going into it, I think that that added a lot of depth and dimension that, like the gum blowing and my character, like I made a conscious choice that wasn't in the script. I was like, I think that this character is a bit of like an airhead and I want to play on that genre trope and I want to, make her chew this gum. And we had on set, we had like a bucket at the end of set, which had little like pieces of paper that people bet how many pieces of gum my character chewed over the course of the month. And I think it was like somewhere like 128 pieces of gum. So it was it was just a fun experience because I think that we were given a lot of creative, liberties with it.
To add to that, though, is it really cool because a lot of people watch a lot of horror movies around like October, right? Like some people like myself, I actually watch like one horror movie a night. It's a combination of like new ones or like ones I go back to. And Willy's Wonderland is in that conversation. Is it really cool to look back and think about that you're in a film that's going to be kind of on the heavy rotation of like horror movies watching in October for years to come?
For sure. I think last year it was really cool for me to experience getting to see people dress up as my character, like getting to see like their blue eyeshadow and the leopard coats and that was a lot of fun, getting to see people recreate that look because yeah, I mean, we really tried to like make her a kind of like genre trope character,
100%. No, absolutely. Getting back to Frank Penelope, I find it very interesting because, you look at films like this where there's so much kind of happening. There's so many dynamic characters. There's a lot of kind of over the top things that happen in this film as well. You're obviously acting in this film as Penelope. Do films like this motivate you to go behind the camera and write and be part of the creative process? Because there's so many things kind of oozing out of like creativity with this film. Does it kind of motivate you to go behind the camera at all, or is acting something you're focusing on the most?
Oh, for sure. I love being on set and just like learning about, talking to the DP about the cameras that they use. Like
Yeah.
on Willy's Wonderland, they used anamorphic lenses, which distorted the image and gave it a very like weird kind of like intimacy. Cause like if you moved to right to the camera, it would completely distort you. But if you were right in the center, you felt like the whole world was like concaving into this character. And I love talking to the director and to the DP and camera department about these aspects of filmmaking, and it's actually really cool because there is a lot of crossover that you wouldn't necessarily know about the Frank and Penelope movie and Willy's Wonderland, such as our director, this was his first movie, Sean Patrick Flannery,
Yep.
and this is his first movie directing.
Mhm.
And the first movie he acted in was directed by Kevin Lewis, which was the director of Willy's Wonderland.
That's so crazy. Have you talked to them about the fact that you're like in both movies?
Yes, yes, I have. And yeah, I love Kevin. I love him so much. I got to ask him, like, he told me so much about like filmmaking and like taught me so much about just on set. And I think that also I think without knowing it, they wrote a sort of like, it felt like I could see a lot of Kathy inside of Penelope for some reason, kind of like in my imagination, it was like Penelope was she as a exotic dancer at a club called the Gator Room, which if you've seen Willy's Wonderland, she gets eaten by an alligator. Like her boyfriend dies from an alligator.
Yes. Spoiler
She gets
alert.
sorry. spoiler alert, but she is in the super happy fun room with Artie the alligator. And Penelope, this is without even Sean even seeing Willy's Wonderland. She works at the Gator room, which is
yes, that's true. Yes.
Rainbow. And there's a giant, if you can see the logo on the building, there's a giant alligator and a girl on the alligator riding it off into the rainbow. And I was thinking about that when we were filming. I was just like, that's so crazy that connection is there.
I didn't think about that. I want to go back and watch Willy's Wonderland so badly. I always have that song kind of stuck in my head too, like that birthday song. Like, it's your birthday.
So let's party, everyone.
Oh my God. So good. Yeah, that's so amazing. And people are going to be able, like, when does it start hitting you that people get to kind of see the projects that you make? Like, obviously, it goes well in that when you start doing press like this, it hits you more because it's like, yeah, if we're talking about Frank and Penelope, it's going to be out soon. But, like, is it when you get, like, the release date from, like, your team that, like, hey, like, Frank and Penelope is going to be available beginning of June? Like, is it, like, when you get the release date and, like, a month in? Like, when does it start hitting you?
No, it definitely doesn't hit me until maybe, like, a year later.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And I say that because, like, the first movie I did was a really, really low budget indie movie that we shot here in Los Angeles called Sunrise in Heaven. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until after the COVID pandemic had started, I think it was well into the COVID pandemic, I was at a dinner place and someone came up to me and told me that movie had been showing on the cruise ships, that she had seen it a lot, this movie, Sunrise in Heaven. And I was like, wow, how did it get there? And then, like, during the COVID pandemic, right after Willy's Wonderland, it went on Netflix. That was like a year after we had made the movie.
Wow.
And I worked with a makeup artist one time, and she didn't tell me until halfway through to doing my makeup that she and her mom used to watch that movie all the time together. And she was so excited to be doing my makeup. And I was like, wow, I can't believe you've even seen this movie, because I was on set filming for like 7 days. Like, the whole movie took 11 days to make. That movie we shot on the 4th of July. Like, we really, put our all into it and didn't have a lot of time. So I didn't think it would end up anywhere. Like, I didn't think anyone would see it.
That's so crazy. No, it's so crazy. The streaming world has just kind of dominated the access. I think the access of movies and TV, like, blows my mind. Like, the fact that these films get released on Netflix or on Apple TV and, like, so many people get to see them. Like, it's just one of the coolest things. But like, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative. It was great chatting with you. Seriously.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I've had a great time talking with you too.
Absolutely. So it's going to be available Friday, right? The 3rd, Frank and Penelope?
Yep, it's going to be in theaters. It's going to be in select theaters, and if it does well, we might get a larger release before it goes to VOD in July.
Amazing. And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything? Probably Instagram?
Yeah, I mostly just use Instagram. I don't have a Facebook. I sometimes use Twitter. I'm not really good at it. I pretty much use it like it's Instagram.
You have a Twitter, but you don't have a Twitter. It's like me. I have a TikTok, but I don't really have a TikTok. I just watch things on TikTok. So yeah, I get that.
I only made my Instagram like it's actually been like 3 or 4 years now. Like, I didn't have it until I kind of was like forced to get it. They were like, I came to LA. I had been doing all these acting classes in theater, and like, I thought I could just not do the Instagram thing. And then someone was like, they were like, you have to have
this is the greatest social media, because this is like a staple of the show, right? Like, I always ask, like, it's like you plug away, like, people follow you on social media. It's like I say to all of them, you're like the first guest to be like, Instagram, I got it like 3 years ago because I had to.
It's addictive. It's so addictive. It's like, it's a really addictive platform. You could spend like 4 hours on it and then be like of your day. I actually have a notification on my phone that says once I put an hour in Instagram, it like stops me from going on it.
Oh my goodness. That's next level. That is crazy. But again, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. Previous episodes. Frank and Penelope going to be in theaters June 3rd. Until next time, it's Caylee Cowan and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.